Now, Ball, Cody Riley, and Jalen Hill have all been suspended indefinitely by the university following those arrests in China. Robin, do you agree with the way the school is handling this with the indefinite suspension?
It depends on what indefinite means. I'm not saying there shouldn't be any sort of ramifications for the actions. Obviously, what they did was dumb and wrong, and you heard LiAngelo Ball confess to as much. But I think he said the right things. The next thing is if he follows up and they follow up with their actions. If they do so, I don't think this is something that should be heavy-handed because they are very young. And this is not the kind of thing where I would want to punish them further, because by punishing them to an extreme degree, I think you more likely increase the chances of something bad happening rather than them being able to go out and immediately, redeem themselves and not repeat those mistakes, as he said.
Well, the school is considering, it sounds like, a half-year suspension or a full-year suspension.
See, to me, that is too much.
It could be very interesting here because a half year, they'd come back for conference play, plenty of time. I think they'd be okay with that. Full-year suspension, they could look to transfer. Now, let's face it, you called this mistake. They called this young kids making a mistake. This wasn't kids trashing their hotel room, though. This was a criminal act in a foreign country. They are lucky to be back in the United States at this point. So I think the hand has to be a little heavy here. And this was supposed to be a goodwill mission, UCLA going there. The chancellor of the school and his family went there. This was an embarrassment to UCLA, the university. If they want to take a stand here, then they suspend them for the season, regardless of that threat of them transferring to another program.
Well, where it took place, could enhance the judgment error, right? It doesn't enhance the act. And I'm not going to sit here and apologize for them or what they did. What they did was wrong. That's a duh, right? It's one of the things you would list. Stealing is wrong. But there are a lot of 19-year-old kids who have done far worse, and there are a lot of 19-year-old kids who have done the same and gone on to be just fine. So that's where I pause before we say, this is something we have to set the strongest example forever going forward, when I think it's better for them, for the school, and for everybody else to move on once you set the initial punishment.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see how the decision plays out, because whether basketball plays a role or if this is strictly a university punishment handed down. Steve Alford has kind of put it in the hands of the school, saying this is university policy when it comes to the suspension of a student. That's the way it's being handled. We'll see if it stays that way.
Yeah, don't shoplift those real big baller brands.